Hello to everybody, my name is Stefano and welcome to this episode of the Think and Analyze podcast. It's been several days since I last recorded, since I recorded the last episode for this podcast, and I believe that, I don't know, I feel like I'm not going to talk very fluently in this episode, so forgive me if I actually do that. Of course, I will try my best in order to talk as fluently as possible. Now, today's question is today's title actually is do we like or do we choose to like? Now, I first and foremost, I want to say what I mean with this question. I tend to believe that this question comes from believing, from my tendency to believe that liking something is not disconnected to our rational mind or to the context in which we find ourselves. What I mean with this, let me first make, I would say, some examples so that you get a better understanding of what I'm saying, because I guess that with an example we go straight to the point instead of simply describing to theoretically everything. I'm going to make two examples. The first is, this is actually this and the following example are things that actually happened to me. So this is my experience. Some time ago, as I said in another episode, sorry for there's a plane literally making such a loud noise. Okay, some time ago, some years ago actually, I had this like tendency to want really the best clothes I could possibly afford. Okay, so whenever I went to department stores, some shops, and those things, I really look in the entire shop for the perfect hoodie or the perfect pair of pants, of chinos, and most of the time, since my standards were really high, most of the time I ended up not buying anything, or if I bought something, I ended up not liking it that much because I wanted to have those perfect clothes that I saw on the internet, that I saw on Instagram. And since I didn't find the perfect clothes I wanted, I ended up being a little annoyed because I didn't have the clothes I really wanted. And how does this relate how does this relate to what I'm saying? Basically, if I had, since I had too high of, since I had standards too high, I wasn't able to like anything I bought, basically. But after some time, I realized that if I actually lowered my standards, then I would be able to like everything I bought, everything I wear. And as a consequence, I did that. And after I did that, I ended up just as expected. I ended up liking everything I wore and I wear. Um, so, as I said, liking something is not disconnected to our rational mind. So when I use this expression, I mean that if with your rational mind you lower your standards, you end up liking what you have in front of you because, as I said, with your rational mind, you lowered your standards, and so you are able to like what you have, what you are considering. The second example is an example with the songs. Okay, so I believe it was. Uh, Let me think. Sorry, January of 2018, I guess. Yeah, January of 2018. I was watching the stories on Instagram of several people, and I came across a story of Jeezy, if I remember correctly, which who was sort of not sponsoring, I would say. In the story, it was shown the new album by A Boogie with the Hoodie. When I saw that story, I was curious because, of course, I generally like Jeezy, although lately I really don't like that much his songs. But at that time I liked Jeezy, and so I after I saw that story, I was like, okay, let me try to listen to a Boogie's songs and see if I like them. And the album was Hoodie Seasons. The first time I listened to it, I actually was like a little skeptical. I didn't really feel the vibe. I don't know where it was, but I didn't really like the song, those songs. So I guess that I listened to like 3 or 4 maybe songs, but I ended up not liking them, and so I in the end I like passed, and I went to do other things without ever considering a Boogie's songs again. However, after some time, and I believe that was like after 2 or maybe 3 months, I was like, I don't know, let me try again and see if I like a Boogie's songs. And I guarantee you, the first song I heard, which was Voices in My Head, the first song of the album, I was like so hyped. I really liked the song, and I was, as I said, so hyped. I ended up listening to the whole album every day for a number of months actually, and I still listen to my favorite songs of that album. I still listen now after almost 2 years. And so this example is connected to the second part of the initial statement I said, which was liking something is not disconnected to the context in which we find ourselves in which we find ourselves. Sorry, because I tend to believe that when I first tried to listen to a Boogie's songs, I was not in the mood maybe for new songs. I was not in the mood like in that moment during which I was listening to a Boogie songs. I was not really feeling it. I don't know. Um, there was something at an emotional level, I guess, or maybe also at a rational level. I don't know. I can't remember, of course. That really actually stopped me from liking a Boogie's songs. But after some time, I found myself in a context, I don't know what was, which ended up sort of allowing me, no, which I don't know, allowed me, yeah, to like a Boogie's songs. So these two examples for me, for myself, are the proof that liking something is not disconnected to our rational mind, because we can always lower our standards and thus like what we have in front of us. And liking something is also not disconnected to the context in which we find ourselves. So after these two things happened to me, and I realized that these two things happened to me, I sort of came, I made a realization, I guess you could say. I realized something which I now tend to believe, which is the following. If in some way or another I'm able to choose to like something, then I should be able to choose to like any activity. Thus, whenever I hear someone saying that they can do something because they believe they're not cut out for that specific thing, I honestly don't buy it. Rather, I think they simply don't want to do it because they have a different approach to reality, or they are in a specific context which don't allow for that thing to happen, which don't allow the person to like that specific activity, that specific thing. Let me make some examples so that so that we talk a little bit better, we understand everything a little bit better. I have heard people saying that they don't like physical activity, and whenever I hear that, I actually can't believe it, in the sense that, okay, I understand that someone might not like that much physical activity, but when you know that physical activity is extremely healthy for the body, I tend to believe that one should do it anyways. So even though I don't like it, I try to do as much physical activity as possible. But whenever I hear someone saying that they don't like it, or they don't do it because they prefer to do something else, or they find some sort of excuses, I honestly tend to believe that maybe they don't like it not because they don't like it really, not just because they don't like it, but they don't like it as a consequence of having a sort of wrong mindset, wrong approach. Because if someone has um, an approach to reality which is, I want to seek the instant pleasure, and I don't want to sort of work hard for the future. I don't know. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I don't want to work a little bit hard in order for me to feel better in the future. With this mindset, of course, you are not going to like physical activity. But if that person shifted their mindset and actually realized that in the sort of, it's better to feel a little worse in the moment, well, a little worse, it's better to do something which is a little bit difficult in the moment for the long-term benefit. If they shift their mindset towards if they shift their mindset to this mindset I just said, then they are probably going to like physical activity. As a matter of fact, that's something happened to me, which happened to me, and I believe that usually it happens to a lot of people. Another example is reading. I've heard a few times people saying that they can't read because they get bored easily, and they find themselves bored, almost sleeping, and those kind of things. Whenever I hear that, I honestly believe that it might be a problem of a mindset, so that, like, they have this mindset that everything should be fun, and so they are not able to read because, let's be honest, reading can be a little bit not boring, but it can be not funny. I don't know. And so if you come from a mindset of believing that everything should be fun, then you are probably not going to like reading. But if you come from the mindset of believing that everything is what it is, and if something is beneficial for you and it's not that funny, you do it anyway, then you are probably going to like reading. And the same also goes for eating healthy. But also, and I believe that the following thing I'm about to say is much more, generally speaking, is much more precise. Sorry, with the since it is more general, it is more applicable to many more contexts. I tend to believe that if someone cannot do something, it's because they are in a specific context which don't allow for that thing to happen. So, eating healthy, okay, someone might find really hard. Someone might find eating healthy really, really hard, and so they say that they cannot do it. But actually, if you look closely to their situation, you see that maybe they tend to go out with their friends like so many times. And so, of course, if you are in that situation, you are not going to eat that healthy, because whenever you are out, you tend to, it's much more easier, much more a social thing of eating a little bit less healthy, like um, uh, I don't know, fries, I guess you say that, fried food, unhealthy food like, let's say, McDonald's, I don't know, those kind of things. So in that context, of course, they find it hard to eat healthy. But if they changed their context, and so, for example, they went out um, less, then at home they will probably find it much more easy to eat healthy, for example. But also reading, I tend to believe that many, in my experience, it's not something I believe, in my experience, sorry, it's not something I believe just because I believe it. It's something I believe as a result of my experience. I tend to see many people saying that they cannot read, and you like you watch, I don't know how you can say that, you see what they are reading, and you find that they actually don't like what they're reading, because like really the topic, they don't find it interesting. So of course, in that specific context in which you are reading something you are really at all interested about, of course you are not going to like reading. But if you change your context and perhaps you started reading other things, I don't know, instead of books you started reading magazines, or instead of books, comics, whatever, and actually of topics that you like, then you are probably going to like much more. You are probably like, sorry, you will probably like reading much, much more. So, for example, if I'm really interested in sociology and someone, and this is also applicable to me, I mean, if I'm interested in sociology, as I was saying, and someone gives me a book of Italian literature, I I guarantee you I'm not going to read that, and I will say that I don't like reading. But if I discover that I actually like sociology and someone gives me a sociology book, then it's highly likely that I'm going to say that I like reading. And yeah, this is applicable to so many contexts and all those kind of things. Now, a clarification I want to make at this point is that I don't resonate totally with the mindset of it's just about willpower. You know, I'm you often hear this, you often come across this mindset, like in on Instagram pages about entrepreneurs, mostly, but many other things also. It's just about willpower. If you want to do it, you are going to do it. For the reasons I told you, in my opinion, it's not just about willpower. That is to say that if someone, for example, doesn't like physical activity, I really find it like uh, superficial to say, sorry, let me rephrase that so that you get a better understanding. If someone says, I don't like to do physical activity, and then someone else says, oh, it's just about willpower, you simply don't want to do it because you are lazy. While sometimes it might be the case, I tend to believe that many times the person doesn't like physical activities, as I said, because of their wrong approach to reality, or because their specific context. So I tend to believe that this mindset of is just about willpower is really superficial and doesn't get to the root of the problem. Because if you say this specific uh, statement is just about your willpower, you're lazy, you don't want to do anything, to someone, they will walk away and you will not have make anything, you will not make anything productive. If instead you told them, well, actually, you could like change your situation, you could change your context, don't go out that much, or um, I don't know, change the people around you so that you are more motivated at the beginning to work out. To if you actually went a little bit deeper into the problem, you would make people better, in my opinion. So for this reason, and this is like to finish this part of the episode, um, I don't resonate with the mindset it's just about willpower because, in my opinion, someone might not like something not because they simply don't like it, but because they are not in a situation which allowed them to like that specific thing. Now, that being said, um, after I told you all this, what 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 do I do? Being aware of this, what do I do? Well, when I seem not to like something, I'll still try to do it several times so that I find out if I actually like it or not. In the sense that if I do it several times, then I'm doing it in a number of different contexts. And so I will actually test if I really don't like it or it was a specific context, but after some time I actually like it. And the same goes for the things I seem to like. I still do them quite a few times in order to be sure I actually like them, because you could not like something because of the context, but you also could like something because of the context. And the most obvious example of this is when something is a trend. In that specific context in which that's, let's say, a piece of clothing is trending, you will almost surely like it. But if after some time it goes out of trend, you will not like it. So that's the same goes for both for disliking things and liking things. Now, I tend to believe that everyone needs to be aware of this like mechanism of this of the possibility that you might don't like something or like something because depending on the context and on your mindset. Because I believe that when people say, for example, I simply can't do it, and you hear many times, they are actually finding an excuse. um, I tend to believe that that is an unconscious thing, but when you are aware that with in a specific other context or with a specific mindset, you might find yourself much more at ease with a new thing you are trying to do. Then, if you realize that something you should do, you are not able to do because you find it hard, then you will be much more um, aware and say, like, okay, if I don't like it in my context, then it's probably because I'm not in the right context for these things, for this thing. Let me try something else so that maybe I test and see if I actually can do that thing. Okay, so when you are aware of this, you are much more sort of capable of changing yourself in order to reach a goal that is hopefully is healthy for you and your relationships and all those kind of things. Now, another clarification I want to make is I don't, with all I've said, I don't mean to say that everyone should struggle in order to like everything, because of course, in my opinion, for now I tend to believe this that um, there are some things that you can like both. No, sorry. Um, there might be cases in which either you like something or you like another thing. You can like both. But most of all, there are things that we don't like because of who we are. Okay, so even though something is like helpful for you, if you feel that it goes against your character, your if it goes against your mindset on life and all those kind of things, you could say, okay, that is actually not something for me, and you should avoid doing that. I mean, that's fine, but you always need to be trying to improve yourself. I don't know. Let me rephrase this. Maybe I can say that. Um, in my opinion, you should start trying to improve as many things as you can. But after some time, you will have become a better person. And at that point, in my opinion, someone could actually like omit some things because they feel that they go against their character. So what might be? I don't know. For example, for me, I don't like running. Okay, I know that running is healthy, generally speaking, but I prefer to do other things. So since I still do physical activity and all those kind of things, it's not that now I like struggle and I go against my preferences in order to like to run. I simply say, okay, I don't like to run. Maybe I always like leave an open door in the sense that maybe in the future I will do that. I don't know, but by now I don't. I am not harsh with myself. I simply say, okay, I don't like it. I still do physical activity, but I am much more, um, yeah, kind with myself, we could say. But you have to do these kind of things to leave some things to other people basically and not do them when you are sure that you are still doing something productive in that specific field. I don't know, this is getting a little messed up, all this topic I'm saying, but it is what it is. I mean that if I do physical activity and I don't like to run, I'm not going to force myself to run. Okay, I simply do. Okay, I already do a lot of physical activity. Running is not necessary. But if you are someone who actually like is does not move their muscles never, then you cannot say that. You cannot say, I don't like to run, I'm not going to do it. Because you actually don't do anything which involves physical activity. You could say, I don't like to run, I'm not going to do that, but do something else at least. Okay, so don't use that as an excuse, but use that as use this mindset in order to understand what works for you and what not. I hope I explained myself correctly. I don't know, honestly. This was tough, and as I said, it was several days in which I didn't talk in English. So, okay. Um, a final thought. Yeah, a final thought about this. This episode is getting really long. I didn't expect this. By the same reasoning of all those kind of things, I partially disagree with the typical statement like that was my path for life, because just as I said before, many times you like something because of the context you are in. So whenever someone says that was my path for my life, I'm a little, well, I'm happy for them that they find something they like, but I'm a little skeptical in believing that that was their their path for their life, because I'm like, well, if you were in another context, maybe you wouldn't have liked that specific thing. So how can you be so sure about that? Unless someone has had so many experiences that they tested so many things and they found what they actually like, still I would be a little uncertain about that statement. And yeah, it's something small. It's a detail about this statement that was my butterfly. It's not anything like important or to address. It's simply that whenever someone says that statement, I'm like, yeah, man, things could have been different. At least for now, I tend to believe that. But of course, that's something basically trivial. Okay, that was just something I wanted to say, just to like conclude. I guess you could say that. Conclude this episode and leave you with a thought like that. So that was it for today's episode. I hope you liked it, and if you liked it, leave a comment down below. I don't know, let me know in some way. So with that said, see you guys.